Hey, good morning. This is Mr. Brian here. I think I'll rock a little Clemson this morning. You know how I do. Anyway, just want to give you all a short video on, well, short medium video on solving quadratics part 1, solving quadratics part 2, and solving quadratics part 3 so that you can have some help with this work. And I know that your substitute is helping the best you can, he or she, and I'm also here for you as well from a distance. So let's start with this first one, which is not that bad. Just give it a try. So notice that it says find the solution set, separate by two values with a comma. Well, remember that when you see m squared or a squared or d squared or any variable squared, the opposite of a squared is a square root, and a square root cancels out a squared. So if I'm looking at equals m squared equals 64, what we have here is to get rid of this square, we have to square root that. But I'm also going to square root 64. If you don't know what the square root of 64 is, remember that what a square root means is what number times the same number gives you 64. Well, let's see, is 7 times 7 64? No, silly, that's 49. How about 8 times 8? Well, yeah, that's 64. So 8 is the square root of 64. But the deal is, it says that separate the two values with a comma. The reason there's two values because 8 times 8 is 64, but there's also another type of 8 that's out there. And there's only one other kind of 8 out there, a negative. So a negative times a negative gives me a positive. So the two answers here are negative 8 and positive 8. So negative 8 comma positive 8, and you're done. The main thing of this lesson is making sure you remember that the opposite of a square is a square root, so you can cancel it, and you're good to go. All right, let's look at one more. So that's the same, that's the same, that's the same. Oh no, that looks different. I'm gonna run for the door because I don't know what I'm doing. No, you're not. Sit down and have some more. So here, the only deal with it is that you have to move this negative over to the other side so that you can get n squared by itself. Well, how do you move negative 144 to the other side? Well, I can add 144 and I can add 144 to both sides of the equation. So here I get n squared equals 144. Well, again, how do you get rid of this squared? Square root it. And the square root of 144 is 12. But that's not the only answer. Also negative 12. So 12 comma negative 12 is your solution for this set. All right, so that's not that bad. Sit back and take that 100 or 90 and smile after your application, of course, and then do your mastery test. All right, let's look at solving quadratics part 2. So it steps up just a little bit. Now, with these, what you find is it says find the solution set if x plus 9 and x plus 9 equals 0. This is what we call already factored form. Since already factored, there's a rule called the zero property product of multiplication. That's a long one, right? So all it means is that you can separate things that are in parentheses to equal 0. Zero product property of multiplication, because there's a little multiplication sign between those two parentheses. So I can set x plus 9 equal to 0. How do I get 9 over there? I'm going to subtract it over. So x is going to be ended up equal to negative 9. Since x plus 9 is written again, there's only one solution to this, negative 9. And we're good to go. Piece of cake. Don't eat too much though. Get a tummy ache. Piece of cake. Get a tummy ache. I like that. So let's skip to one that's a little harder. Oh my goodness, that doesn't have parentheses. So we got to factor it, which we've already done. We've been factoring earlier, just a little bit. So here, with factoring, what you want to do is you have to think of two numbers that multiply to be 16, but they have to add to be 8. So two numbers that multiply to be 16, but if you add them, you get 8. And it's positive 16, positive 8 because of the plus signs. So here, what's the number multiplied by 16? Well, I could do 2 times 8, that's 16. But if I add 2 and 8, do I get 8? No. If I do 4 times 4, is that 16? Yeah, of course it is. And then, hey, how about 4 plus 4? Is that 8? Yeah, of course it is. So that means I can factor this into, I'm going to write it over here, x plus 4 and x plus 4. But again, you have the same set of parentheses, so you're going to set that equal to 0. Just one of them because they're the same thing. By the zero product property of multiplication. How to get that 4 to the other side? I'm going to subtract it because that's the opposite of addition. When I subtract it, I get a negative 4. Since it's the same set of parentheses, I don't have to write two answers. It's just negative 4. And you're done. Okay? Remember, if I'm going too quick, you can always slow this down and rewind it. You want to go to one more. Let's see, we got x squared plus 2x plus 1. That's not too bad. We got this one that has negatives. Let's try that real quick. And then we're going to pause this video and just do the first 2 steps to solving quadratics part 1 and solving quadratics part 2. All right, so let's look at this one real quick. So here, if I click new, we're going to go to my pen. So here again, your third number is positive 1. So what 2 numbers will multiply to be 1? But if you add them, you get negative 2. So let's see here. Well, 1 is easy because the only numbers that multiply by 1 are 1 and 1. So 1 and 1. But is 1 plus 1 negative 2? No, of course not. But the cool thing about this process is that you can change the signs on the numbers to help you fit this puzzle. So I could make these both negative because negative 1 plus negative 1 is negative 2. Go ahead and try it if you're not sure with your calculator. And then negative 1 times negative 1, well, that's positive 1. So we're good to go. So here we have x minus 1 in parentheses and x minus 1 in parentheses. And from there, since they're both the same thing, we can just set that equal to 0. And then I got to move that 1 over by adding it. So plus 1. Oop, let me erase that real quick. Oop, there we go. So plus 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. So x is equal to 1. And we're good to go because it's the same thing. All right. So we're going to pause this. We're going to stop this video for now. I was going to do part 3, but we're going to pick it up in a little bit because this video is getting a little long. And I know that our attention spans are short and we want to make sure that we keep it. So see you next time.